And live in 3, 2.
How's it going, everybody? Adam here from Onewheel, and welcome to the second episode of Road to the Rail, the premier place to get all the information you need to know for the 2020 Race for the Rail. Here next to me, I have my co-host, Ted Rosser, extremely special guest, Sarah from the events team, and my co-host, Kate.
Thank you, Adam. So, let me just hop right in after that. Last week we talked about historically what Race for the Rail was. It's an all or nothing race from the top of the hill to the bottom. We host it once a year. It's the crown jewel of one-wheel racing. Mm-hmm. So usually it was at the GoPro Mountain Games. We switched to North Star at Tahoe. We live streamed it, and it's been growing every year.
Yeah, and talking about that, we talked a lot about the evolution of the race and where we came from and where we are now. And it's ever so more fitting that it is continuously evolving week by week. And we brought in Sarah to give us a little bit more detail on how this race is already progressing and evolving with the structure of the invitees. So Sarah, originally 10 invites, 7 of them, which were selected by a special team of people, has now changed. Can you elaborate more on what has happened there?
Yeah, just to start trying to find a way to navigate Race for the Rail in these new COVID times was really, really a difficult decision for us to even have the race this year at all. And if we were to have the race, what exactly does that look like? Okay. And the best way we could figure out to do that was, you know what, there needs to be someone crowned. Let's just live stream this and keep it to the smallest group of people that we can. So when we were trying to decide exactly who we were going to invite, there were a lot of ways we could do it. So we have Race for the Rail, and we had all the time trials from last year. Then we had the separate events. We had the Husky Boy race. We had the Groms. We had the women's race. And then we had the Early Bird Special race. And then we have Float Light Fest. So there was a lot of different ways we could have decided how to invite people. But the one thing we thought of was, what is the most even playing field that people competed against each other on? And that to us was the time trials. So last year, everyone who wanted to be a part of Race for the Rail got to lay down a time trial by themselves twice, actually, and then we took the best of the 2 times. The other races were mass starts. So if you ended up in a bad position or fell or anything, it really hurt your chances. Right. So that to us wasn't as good of an indicator as the time trials. So because of that, we decided to go with the top time trials. The only exception there being Tahoe Dave, because we did not make him do a time trial because he was a champion the year before. And he did come out. I mean, he almost won. He had a tumble in the finals. He could have won, to be honest.
To get second place in the final race, that is proof in itself.
Exactly. And where we did fall short, and that's where we have to thank the Onewheel community for telling us when we were wrong, is that we did only invite 2 women and we invited 5 men, which is not okay. And as a female, I need to rep my sisters, and I did not do that. But yeah, we've now invited 2 more, and I hope that we get a couple more women in the wild card.
For sure. And I think that it's very, very important for folks to realize that there is only one Race for the Rail, that anybody from all walks of life is open to race, put down a time, and hopefully, if they're fast enough, they can make it to the finals. So, like we've said, very, very tough decision on all fronts, and love the shout out to the Onewheel community for making a statement and saying, invite more women and give that opportunity. And that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So moving forward, we have now Rachel Payne, Raquel McCosker, Angel Cooper, also known as Onewheel Angel, and Zoe Thomas.
Yeah.
Who won
She won the Grom race, then she got second place in the women's race. So she kicked all the boys' butts in the Grom's race.
Which one did she get stung by a bee?
She got stung by a bee in the women's race.
Stung by a bee. And
then I think she broke her knee open in the Grom's race. She ended up with stitches. So she was the hardest rider we had last year.
I was at the finish line doing the sideline announcing when she came down and won her race, respectively, and I remember looking at her and I was like, you need to go get this taken care of. And she was just so psyched. And I said, how did you make it down there? Your knees are torn up, your jeans are ripped. How did you keep your mindset positive? And she just goes,
this is a bee sting to the mouth an hour ago, and she finishes first in the Groms race. Let's hear it.
We are down here with the Groms race winner, Zoe, and that was so far the exciting race of the day. Now, you took a little spill after leading for a while. How did you get your composure and get back up and win this race?
I sent it.
She just sent it.
And I was like, that was, the best thing you could have said.
Yeah, she's pretty shy, but she makes a statement with her riding.
Very
young
happy.
rider, just like Dom. You know, just the heart is there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see them go up against each other this year.
And that brings up a lot of questions within one-wheel racing in general. You have this younger generation that is coming up with this ability to take on the top dogs. I mean, you're talking about Dom, 15 years old at the time of winning 2019 Race for the Rail, beating out Bode Harrison, Tahoe Dave, and all the others who are much older than him and have honestly probably been one-wheeling a lot longer than him.
It's quite the competition this year, especially stacked up. Just like you said, against Bode and Tahoe Dave. Ori is another guy out there who has great riding ability and is really going to be a true testament of who is the best rider. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And just like we saw last year with Dom kind of upsetting the crowd and coming away with the win, who knows? Who knows if this is a time that Dom's going to shine again, or if it was his time last year.
If it was one and done, or is he going to become, the dynasty of Race for the Rail?
Like a part of me feels like Jeff came into Float Life after Race for the Rail coming for Dom. I mean, he ended up winning, and he was like, I'm not going to let him do this to me again.
Sure.
And he took it to his home turf.
And Cade was there in person. Tell us about that experience in the final race.
You could just feel the energy. It was really electric. There's people lining the racetrack. It was a dual slalom course, which is a little bit different than we do at Race for the Rail. But when you have both of these racers, the highest caliber racers there are, coming down this track, and then it really came to this final turn where Dom just slipped up and slid off his foot pad, and Jeff ran away with the win. And you could just tell it was like the victory of winning the race with Jeff and the agony of defeat with Dom. And you could tell that he's going to be hungry for Race for the Rail this year after that. That one stung.
So let's talk about each racer very briefly, because now we've added to the pool. We have a larger pool of invitees. Let's start off with Bode Harrison. I mean, I have nothing but positive things to say about Bode.
Love the boy.
I mean, he's innovated greatly on the one wheel. Every time I've been able to watch him ride in person, it seems so effortless.
Yeah.
But again, he's failed to make it to the top spot. I believe last year he got third. In 2019, 2018 he was runner-up, if I'm not mistaken. And this could be that year where it's like, is he going to be able to keep in with the top group, or is it time for the young bucks to come in and take the lead?
Yeah, I think the great thing about Bode is he is pushing the sport and he is creating all these tricks and all this kind of stuff. But have we seen the trail content of Bode recently? And I personally cannot say I have. It's like I see Dom and everyone ripping these trails in North Carolina, and I see Bode out in Sacramento.
He's in the streets, filming street parts.
Two completely different styles there, and we'll see how that comes into play this year at the race.
Yeah.
Something to think about, though, everything is different this year about the race, and tricks may have an upper hand or not. We don't really know. You never know. So we're not just looking for speed this year.
We're highly lucky to sit here next to Sarah Sandoval, the event's leader, and not the leader, but the creator.
Yeah, I mean,
call me gaming.
When it comes down to
I think she's got a few curveballs.
Yeah.
In her back pocket.
I normally like to stay behind the scenes unless it's a dance floor, but today I'm out here talking to you guys. So yeah.
So let's move on to Rachel Payne. Just a gracious rider. We had the awesome opportunity to speak with her briefly last year and create a little bio for her. But her and her husband, Nick Payne, are out there in Texas.
Yeah, on the Texaco border.
Ripping the trails.
Yeah, it seems like she's always out there finding the gnarliest line to hit and never shying away from it. So you have to assume that that's going to translate over to the race, and it does.
Oh, and I've seen her. If you follow her on Instagram, and I think they share an Instagram account called @DirtSurfers. I might be wrong, but she's going off ledges and drops, and there's no doubt in my mind that she is prepared for whatever comes her way.
Great energy there between those two.
And just the nicest person I've ever met.
Totally.
Move on to Jeff Mikasa Curry. again, another rider with effortless flow. Being a skateboarder, snowboarder, surfer, both Cade and Ted, tell me, I mean, you watch the guy ride a Onewheel and it's like, that looks easy.
Yep.
And then you try it and you're like, that's not easy.
No. No. Jeff has that style that comes across all board sports. You know, you see that dude kickflip at the skate park, and then all of a sudden he's doing these crazy ass bonks on curbs. You know, it's like
He's wakeboarding
Yeah.
on the Sacramento River. Yeah.
He's a very skilled rider, and has put down huge performances at Race to the Rail and Float Life.
I think he's probably one of the most decorated riders in the whole field, going from Float Life to Race to the Rail.
For
He's
sure.
definitely got the most wins underneath his belt, and he's like kind of a huge name in the game of one-wheel racing and one-wheel tricks in general. But like I think it all translates from his like previous experience doing board sports. He's just graceful and flows with the board underneath his
All
feet.
around great dude.
Yeah, and I think that we all thought he may have advanced a little further last year, so I'm interested to see if he comes with a little bit more hunger this year.
Especially coming off of that win at Float Life Festival.
Totally.
He's got to be feeling quite a bit of high. Well, you can't talk about Jeff without talking about his other half, Raquel.
Dream team right there.
The dream team of one-wheel racers right there. I mean, she just goes after it. She's got like the eye of a tiger when I've seen her ride, and it's so impressive to be able to she might have even kept up with some of the guys in the races in the past. I mean, totally same thing. The style translates from other board sports. Extremely nice, totally dedicated to the sport. Tell me more about what you guys feel like the riding style will translate, and also how that's going to come into play with this larger group.
Yeah, well, not only does Raquel have that trail riding ability, riding with Jeff and all of them, but she also excels in trick comps. You know, I mean, we've seen her time and time again throw down some bangers at all the trick comps. So she has a whole bag of tricks, and she's ready to probably throw those down.
The best part to me is that, you know, every year she comes and she's ready to rumble with the boys. Like, she doesn't want to be in the girls' race. She wants to take the Race to the Rail. And this year's the first race where it's like, it's all or nothing. And she's going to lay down her time and lay down her tricks or whatever it's going to be. It's going to be spectacular, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I think 2 years ago she made it into like the semifinals.
The main race, yeah. To be pushed
that.
out by Bode. I actually do remember that. This was our last year at, just tying this all back together, this was the last year we did the race at the GoPro Mountain Games in Vail. And it was a nail biter in the semifinals where Bode Harrison actually nudged Raquel Mikasa Curry out of the finish line at the very end to take the
Bode!
second place seed away to go into the finals.
Yikes.
And I mean, I think they're working together, living close, and they probably see each other all the time. I don't think there's any bad feelings between them, but I'm sure that's probably in the back of the mind, you know?
Yeah.
Moving right along from Raquel to Ori, I think he's somewhat of a mystery for this year. Like, we haven't seen him in the top spots in a lot of races, but we know he's a great rider, and his times prove that.
I mean, he did finish 4th in the finals last year, so we don't know. Did he get stuck behind someone? Did he have a bad start? You know, like, I think he's as fast as all of them, so I'm interested to see how it goes this year.
And that's the beauty of like what these races create. You know, it's not just about being the fastest or being the most technical. The strategy and being able to react in that second when the person in front of you falls.
Yeah.
You have to be able to react to that because you could be off your board next.
Just like we saw with Tahoe Dave last year.
Just like we saw with Tahoe Dave. And now let's move it on to Tahoe Dave, the 2018 Race for the Rail champion. Came in second last year to young Dom because of a little spill that he took right around, we call it the hairpin turn. A tough turn when you're just ripping down that straightaway, and you need to like slow down super fast and then make that hairpin turn.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Tahoe Dave just slipped off.
I guess my assumption for that would be like, that trail's been ridden all day for the quarters, the semis, and then ultimately the final. It's probably been washed out by so many wheels going through it. You know, we have like, it's been ridden like multiple times. So like, did that have anything to do with that fall? And I wonder if, you know, Tahoe Dave could take that back. How would he play that again?
The way I think about it is Tahoe Dave, home turf, made it to the finals, bypassed the time trials, has probably ridden that course before, but not, you know, any time recently before he raced that final course or anything. And, just the pressure of racing the finals against the top 4 athletes, any small slip up on that course could completely take you out of the race.
He also had no real chance to ride it until we hit the bracketing. So he didn't lay down a time trial. The first time he actually rode the outline course, not saying, yes, it was in his hometown, so he probably has ridden environments like it, was when in the top 16 brackets.
Yeah. And he I think he was coming off an injury last year too.
That's right.
He was coming off an injury, and then there was a point where he had to borrow a board from us. So not only was he using something that he was, all boards are essentially the same, but you get used to it.
It's not your own board.
It's not your own
No,
board.
that's right. It was either the semis or the finals
So
that we had to
he
give
did
him
have to face a little bit of adversity during the race, and still leading the final race until that hairpin, unfortunately, which leads us up to the 2019 Race for the Larell champion, Dom Williams. Just what a character. I love the kid.
He's got the fire in his eyes.
He's
of
got the fire
a
in his
competitor,
eyes.
and it's like infectious when you see him because he's a ball of energy. And you have to assume that, like, you watch Bode Harrison at the beginning of his racing career, right? He's probably 19 years old, 18 years old. Is Dom like experiencing some of that like youthful arrogance? Like, I'm putting my head down and I'm gonna send it, like similar to Zoe almost. These young guns are out here. They are just going as hard and fast as they can because they're hungry for it.
Ignorance is bliss, man. As we get older, I'm scared to do a lot of things.
My knees are hurting after the race.
Kate all the time. How many times are we like, I want to do that trick on the skateboard, and I'm like, I would have done that 10 years ago. But not
Dude,
now.
I've been
Bust out
watching
the wrist guards or something.
I've been watching Dom's content on Instagram, and that dude is just laying down some absolute hammers recently. Like, it's going to be a very interesting competition this year because all these people are putting out that's such great about Instagram. Is like everyone's putting out so much great content, and it kind of gets you fired up to see how these people are going to stack up to each other in real life.
I gotta say, my favorite, other than like his riding, my favorite thing about Dom is he's always got a smile on his face.
Yeah,
he's always got a smile on his face. He'll drop off an 8-foot wall, land, and he's smiling. It's great.
Signature style. He's always rocking the button up too, which
Always
is
the button.
pretty unique.
Yeah, he's looking fresh. He's looking good.
All right, so last but not least, we've briefly touched on her entrance into this race. Angel Cooper, Onewheel Angel, won the women's race last year, which is not an easy feat at all. You're going up against Payne, Raquel McCosker, and Zoe. I mean, that's a stacked field as is, so I'm excited to see all of those riders go up against each other. But having won the women's race, what were some of the thoughts that you guys were thinking when she crossed that finish line? I mean, she had a pretty decent lead there.
Yeah, I was shocked because we all expected it to be Rachel or Raquel, to be honest, and then for her to take it and then have Zoe behind her, it was like, oh wow, there's some new talent out there, and it's really exciting to see more girl riders out there. And she crushed it. She came in hot.
Oh yeah. Well,
what I'm most excited about for this year's race is that it's not just going to be so cut and dry as like we're lining up on the line and we're going to get to the finish. There's going to be all these twists and turns and elements of race rail that have never happened before. And I think you guys are going to be really surprised and pretty excited, not only to be in the race for you lucky 12, but to watch it at home. Because I think it's going to be truly a spectacle of all sorts.
The most entertaining race for rail. Yeah.
Did we start telling them next week about that?
We will slowly be dripping out the information about how this year's Race for the Rail will be structured, what it entails, what the riders will experience. That is the beauty of 2020. We literally have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. Right?
It may get canceled,
And
unfortunately.
I slightly joke when I say beauty. It's just, we live in a world where tomorrow could be something we completely didn't expect. On to the wild cards. So now we have 9 riders.
Yep, locked in.
We are still leaving 3 wild card spots up. Keep in mind, folks, wild card literally means if you feel like somebody is a strong rider and should be in Race for the Rail, encourage them to make a clip, post it on Instagram, make sure they tag the appropriate channels so that we could see it and that they're entered, because ultimately those folks are going to be dwindled down by our team, and then you will be voting the top 10.
Right.
So it's ultimately up to you, the Onewheel community, to say, I think this person deserves to be in Race for the Rail 2020. Let's vote them in.
Yeah, this was a huge part of our process when we started thinking about how we were going to do this, and we knew there was no perfect formula for us to pick all the best riders. So we knew that there are people we don't know about. So it was really important for us to have you guys tell us who should be there.
Yeah, I was just pulling out my phone right now to highlight some of the wild cards right now who we've seen do a great job. Drew Long just had a rad one. Cole Crush. Great video.
So far.
We gotta have you wearing helmets, folks. If you're submitting a video, we can only accept it and move it forward into the voting process if you are wearing a helmet.
No, but I think there's a sentiment right now where people are, seeing who's been invited, and they're feeling a little bit like hurt or rejected because they didn't get an invite, or their favorite rider that they love didn't get invited. And I think we need to channel that energy into like, okay, you didn't get one of these 7 pre-designated spots, but you need to push to get that wild card because you can make it happen.
Yeah.
If you belong there, then you're gonna get there.
Yeah.
So I think just taking the energy that you're putting out in the world and condensing it into making a video, getting your people that you love to vote for you, and just, making this whole experience great for everybody.
That's the beauty of the wild card too, is we could see people who are riders who are people's favorites, but we could also see a brand new outcast underdog come arise and all of a sudden be a winner of the Race for the Rail 2020.
And see how it goes.
Yeah, Jack mentioned that a little bit last week. I mean, you could have picked up a board in the last year, and you could be ripping. I know my experience of riding a Onewheel to now, which is like a year and a half, like the progression is very quick. And I'm sure there's got to be some folks that we don't know of out there that are pretty fast,
For sure.
very technical, and could put up some good punches in this race.
So going on some closing thoughts here, location is in Utah. Anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, even the racers don't know where they're exactly going, so don't try to bribe them. They can't be very helpful to you there. But to make sure that this is completely COVID friendly and to not have people show up, we love you guys, but please stream it. We want to keep everyone as safe as possible. So location will remain a secret until after the races are over.
What I would love to see on social media is like very small, appropriate viewing parties.
Yes, like The Bachelor.
Like The Bachelor or Survivor. Obviously, doing the best you can within the state of the world right now. That would be pretty awesome to bring the community together and watch this epic race. Ultimately, we have to crown somebody this year, and we've said it. We said it last week. We'll say it again. We're doing our best to make this happen. And unfortunately, it has to be a very select few people. But that's why we got the wild card. We want to include everybody. And we're going to do our best to live stream it.
Yeah.
And hopefully you're entertained.
When is the deadline for the wild card submission? Because I'm sure people are scrambling to get the videos together, get their support. When is it due?
So you have until midnight on July 12th to get your clips in. Post it on Instagram, #RaceForTheRail, #RFTR 2020. Get them in there. We'll be sure to watch them all. And we really want to see some wild cards or some underdogs pop up.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is all we have for you today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because this is the main place you're going to find information for Race for the Rail 2020. Ted, Sarah, Kate, thank you for joining us today. We'll give away something from the rare pile.
Yes.
Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week for the 3rd installment of Road to the Rail.
Ooh, doggy.